sky above the port was the color of television, tuned to a dead channel. It's not like I'm
using.
Kaiser. As he shouldered his way through the crowd around the door of the chat. It's like my body's developed this massive drug deficiency. It was a sprawl voice and a sprawled joke. The Chatsubo was a bar for professional expatriates.
You could drink there for a week and never hear 2 words in Japanese. Rats was
Tipping bar, his crust.
jerking monotonously as he filled a tray of glasses with draft Kirin.
Case found a place at the bar between the unlikely tan on one of Lonnie Zone's whores and the crisp naval uniform of a tall African whose cheekbones were ridged with tribal scars. Wage was in here early with 2 Joe boys, Rat said, shoving a draft across the bar. Maybe some business with you, Case? Case shrugged. The girl to his right giggled and nudged him. The bartender's smile widened. His ugliness was the stuff of legend. In an age of affordable beauty, there was something heraldic about his lack of it. The antique arm whined as he reached for another mug. It was a Russian military prosthesis, a 7-function force feedback manipulator, cased in grubby pink plastic. You are too much the artiste here, Case. You are the artiste of the slightly funny deal. Sure, Case said and sipped his beer. Somebody's gotta be funny around here. Sure the fuck isn't you. The whore's giggle went up an octave. Isn't you either, sister, so you vanish, okay? She looked Case in the eye and made the softest possible spitting sound, her lips barely moving, but she left. As Case was picking up his beer, one of those strange instants of silence descended, as though 100 unrelated conversations had simultaneously arrived at the same pause. Then the whore's giggle rang out, tinged with a certain hysteria. Rats grunted. An angel passed, he said. The Chinese, bellowed a drunken Australian. Chinese bloody invented nerve splicing. Give me the mainland for a nerve job any day. Fix you right, mate. Now that, Case said to his glass, that is so much bullshit. The Japanese had already forgotten more neurosurgery than the Chinese had ever known. The black clinics of Chiba were the cutting edge, whole bodies of techniques supplanted monthly, and still they couldn't repair the damage he'd suffered in that Memphis hotel. A year here and he still dreamed of cyberspace, hope fading nightly, all the speed he took, all the turns he'd taken and the corners he'd cut in Night City, and still he'd see the Matrix in his sleep. Bright lattices of logic unfolding across that colorless void. The sprawl was a long, strange way home over the Pacific now, and he was no console man, no cyberspace cowboy, just another hustler. But the dreams came on in the Japanese night like live wire voodoo, and he'd cry for it, cry in his sleep and wake alone in the dark, curled in his capsule in some coffin hotel, his hands clawed into the bed slab, temper foam bunched between his fingers, trying to reach the console that wasn't there. I saw your girl last night, Rat said. I don't have one, Case said. Miss Linda Lee, Rat said. Case shook his head. The bartender's small brown eyes were nested deep in wrinkled flesh. I think I like you better with her, he said. You laughed more. Now some nights you get maybe too artistic. You wind up in the clinic tanks, spare parts. Case finished his beer, paid, and left. High, narrow shoulders hunched beneath the rain-stained khaki nylon of his windbreaker. Threading his way through the Ninsai crowds, he could smell his own stale sweat. Case was 24. At 22, he'd been a cowboy, a wrestler, one of the best in the sprawl. He'd been trained by the best, by McCoy Pauley. He'd operated on an almost permanent adrenaline high, jacked into a custom cyberspace deck that projected his disembodied consciousness into the consensual hallucination that was the Matrix. A thief, he'd worked for other wealthier thieves, employers who provided the exotic software required to penetrate the bright walls of corporate systems, opening windows into rich fields of data.